Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 multiplayer action, and look at these filthy dogs. We're here with Norsca, going to be taking on the Greenskins. Generally, this matchup is perceived as in favor of the Greenskins, just because Norsca, as a rush faction, can't really just rush straight into the Greenskins. You'll pretty much just die. And a build like this is actually super scary for Norsca. 6 Black Orcs, believe it or not. It's, 5 Black Orcs in the front line. Super heavy. We've got a couple Goblins out on the flanks, some Goblin Archers with the Rusty Arrows, Wurzag as well, a couple of Boy Biggins for Cav. And, yeah, I mean, the reason being is that Black Orcs, especially with, like, WA active, because you don't have any way of blocking WA with Norsca, there's no ability recharge timer or anything, the Black Orcs will just cleave through your Famir, they'll cleave through all of your infantry, like even Marauder great weapons just trade horribly with Black Orcs. It's not great, at least unless they changed something last time I tried it. But yeah, I mean, this is what I had sort of theorized, and I had also gotten some tips from some tournament players, Shidoku and a few others, but just in general, the Skin Wolves here, I'm not the biggest fan of Skin Wolves because of their relatively low melee defense and armor, but I mean, Greenskins, they don't have any flaming damage, and the regeneration can be helpful here if you use them smart and don't get them completely killed. Here you can see a massive escalation as the Hounds dive in. We did get some good damage on those Orc Boy Biggins, but at the same time, taking a lot of damage on the Skin Wolves, so I'm going to pull back with the units. The Werekin himself, I'm perfectly fine to just leave there, but we're going to try and get some engagement here. I do have a Metal Sorcerer also on a Chariot. It's got that Searing Doom. It doesn't do the most armor-piercing damage in the world, but it is actually really good against Orc Boy Biggins because they only have 60 armor. It's not really enough to mitigate the damage from that, so it's pretty decent here. You can see a Brain Burster there. Going to get that nice Bonewood Staff proccing off map-wide, so some good value there, buffing up a lot of units, and just with the heavy weapon strength of Black Orcs, they're good against pretty much everything. I mean, there's no unit that they won't cut through given enough time and given the right buffs, but a really nice wind spell there just blows up the Beasts of Tashnar and actually routes them off. They had been getting some good damage in on Wurzag, but seeing that Wurzag is a little bit isolated here and the rest of my opponent's army is just kind of sitting back, we did manage to catch some isolated Wolf Riders there with the Hounds and with the Horsemen on the far side, but Wurzag is going to get caught here in with the Skin Wolves and with some other units. We're going to hit him with the debuff from Wolfric. Drops, I believe it's already worn off maybe by now. I'm not sure, but at any rate, we're going to try and snipe out Wurzag here if we can. Unfortunately, there are still these Orc Boar Biggins here. Juiced up with Fists of Gork, you can see their combat stats are pretty good. They're doing a lot of damage to the Maws of Savagery here. They've actually dropped quite a few models already. They're down to 12 unit models, so I'm going to try and pull them back so we can take advantage of that regeneration, and then just get another timing push here with Wolfric and the other Skin Wolves. Just continuing to kind of pick away at this flank with my mobile units while I'm distracting his other side with my other mobile units. My infantry line, meanwhile, just these Marauders and the Brutes of the Hound, just chilling back for the time being. There's not really any reason to engage them right now, but you can see here the Beasts of Tashnar have come back from rout. We've also got these Ice Wolves here. They can now move in on Wurzag. Now this is when the Hunter of Champions. Okay, so I was a little bit mistaken earlier. Now the Hunter of Champions has been dropped. You can see the Skin Wolf is free. He moves in. Wolfric charges in as well, and believe it or not, with Wolfric's charge bonus, he does a lot of damage. We also pop the Fight or Die. Norsca and Ice Wolves have a ton of weapon strength too, 42 total weapon strength. Wurzag has pretty low armor, only 55 there, so he will actually take a lot of damage from those units, especially with that standard die in there. Wolfric just doing the drive-by buff, seriously buffing up the units there. And yeah, I had missed it already, but I think I got a boat on some of these guys, I'm not really sure. Anyway, you can see the Shaman Sorcerer chilling back. He did take some damage from trying to cycle charge Black Orcs earlier, so I'm just leaving him in the back line for now. The Wolves are going to try and pick off what large units remain for my opponent. And now the Wa finally being popped here as my opponent sees he has a pretty good opportunity. Another boat is dropped there, and we're also going to use a bombardment. Anytime that I use this bombardment, I'm trying to synergize it with a Plague of Rust to sunder the armor of one of these Black Orcs. That way, yeah, you can see this one is down to only 50 armor. That way, the bombardment spell will do a lot more damage because it doesn't have the best AP values, like I said before. But yeah, you can see the wolves trying to get here in the back line. The Black Orcs are going to fend them off, but I mean, my infantry line hasn't even engaged yet. And look at how much damage we've been able to do just with these mobile units, you know, fighting in different pockets, taking only, good engagements, positive engagements, but nice Brain Burster there, just wrecks those Warhounds. Man, that's a great spell. And considering that you get a nice little buff with all of your units map wide when you have Wurzag, I definitely see what my opponent was going for there. There's a lot of merit with that, but at this point we've got units more or less in a full surround, and a lot of these Black Orcs are going to be starting to get tired and, worn down in terms of their HP as well, so time to move in with the infantry and start to pick off, isolated units. As always, these Black Orcs out on the flank here are completely isolated. They're going to get swarmed by dogs. Kind of hard to see what's going on as everything is just sort of brown and red and dying. But anyway, those Black Orcs do get routed off, and then we're going to immediately pull away. Again, just sort of distracting the rest of my opponent's army, so he's not really engaging, continuing to just run around. But we are going to get sort of an uphill engagement here. Wurzag charges in, interrupts those Marauders. These Gobos are going to get caught up by Marauders here. Oh man, this is hilarious. Just Benny Hill music chasing them downhill. They do eventually catch them though. Black Orcs charging in. The Black Orcs will obviously mop up the Marauders, but hey, we can wear them down a little bit more. Another really nice wind. I forget the name of that wind spell, but the Ice Wolves come for a rear charge here, and we're going to follow up to the second line. A boat comes through as well. This should do some good damage. Yeah, just wrecks those Goblin Archers. So Wulfric, meanwhile, relatively healthy, just continuing to cycle in and out on the units on this flank. The Maws of Savagery, unfortunately, did take way too much damage and are probably not going to come back from routing at this point, but at least the Marauders are here to follow up and, again, just continue to wear down these Black Orcs over time. And the fact that we have this kind of crazy uphill charge means that we are going to get a pretty good advantage in terms of combat. And then, again, the Skin Wolves can just cycle in and out here. We can potentially throw a Plague of Rust. Because the regular Skin Wolves don't have the best AP values, that's another reason why the Plague of Rust can be pretty decent here. But for the moment, this Chariot Lord looks like he's going to support the engagement up on the flank here, dropping a Plague of Rust on this unit of Black Orcs, so the Brutes of the Hound can then move in. They don't have the best EP values either, but they do have very high total weapon strength, including a bonus versus infantry. So with their armor sundered, these Black Orcs, I mean, they'll dish damage out, but they will also take a lot of damage here from these Brutes of the Hound. My opponent is going to admit defeat at this point. His forces were pretty close to critical army losses, but yeah, Wulfric, I didn't quite catch it there, but he did get finished off, I think, by the Hounds or something. Or, sorry, not Wulfric, Wurzag. The W's here, duking it out. But, yeah, Wulfric definitely coming out on top. 124 kills, between the boats and him being on the chariot. Really just messed up the Greenskin infantry. And I had thought that Black Orcs and Biggins and that, because they have such high mass, I didn't think that the chariots would really work. But I guess Wulfric and the... less so with the Shaman Sorcerer, but Wulfric himself, his chariot, I don't know if it has like infinite mass or something, but it was able to pull through those Black Orcs just fine. It really didn't get stuck up like I was afraid it might. The Skin Wolves did okay. They mostly were just kind of a distraction piece to wear down my opponent's Black Orcs over time out on that flank, while the Beasts of Tashnar, these other wolves, kind of picked off at the mobile units and the ranged units and so forth. It definitely took a while, but at the end of the day, worked out pretty well. 50 kills in the Shaman Sorcerer as well. That Searing Doom, I mean, because it's so cheap, you can throw it on a lot of different things, and the Greenskins are bound to have some low armor, high value targets. Even if it's just the Rusty Airs or something, it wrecks light cav, it wrecks light infantry, even like medium cav like these Orc Warboy Biggins. Very cost effective against them as well. And if you sunder like these Black Orcs armor, especially if you have like a unit of Famir on top of them as well, and then you hit them with the Overcast Plague of Rust, you get minus 90 armor total, then a Searing Doom would tear these Black Orcs to pieces, most likely. But definitely a pretty fun matchup. I do think that Norsca has a reasonable chance here. The Skin Wolves, they are a unit that I had dismissed somewhat because, again, their melee defense and their armor isn't amazing. The regular ones don't have that great of AP values, but if we have a look here at Norsca, Skin wolves, armored skin wolves. Yeah, I mean, 60 weapon strength total isn't that great. I mean, that's like barely, well, like 20% more than a Saurus, but still, I mean, it's not that much at the end of the day, right? And, I mean, Ponus versus Large of plus 30 is pretty serious, but only 21 AP. Like, I mean, there are infantry units that have comparable weapon strength. So, you know, just the fact that these guys only have 18 models, I mean, granted, the Frenzy does give you a little bit of extra weapon damage, charge bonus, and melee attack while it's active. Obviously, they have regeneration. They do have a bit of physical resistance as well. Only 70 armor, though, for these guys. The unarmored ones have only 15, which is, it's really rough. The 70 armor is not too bad, though. Honestly, I think these guys could maybe get by. Only 28 defense and 32 attack is pretty subpar. They do have an okay charge bonus of 30. With the Frenzy active, that gets a little bit better. Obviously, the Maws of Savagery, with their primarily AP damage, do okay, but I honestly think that they could stand to just buff the weapon strength of Skin Wolves in total, just by like 10 more maybe. Put them up to like 80, 85, 90-ish range. I'd have to compare them to other monstrous infantry, but I'm pretty sure that almost all other monstrous infantry in the game have higher weapon strength. It might be a fun idea for a video later on, but just in general, I mean, granted, they do have more unit models than your typical monstrous infantry. They have 18 rather than 12. They are also pretty fast, but they just, I don't know, that 28 melee defense and the melee attack not being that great, they just struggle a little bit. But I think against the Greenskins, there is some merit there. If you could maybe buff up their melee attack. Norsca, outside of their heroes, or their lords rather, they don't have that many melee attack buffs, unfortunately. This plus 18 armor does help a little bit. If you have a unit of Werekin backing them up, that'll put them up to, what, 88 armor? That's a little bit better. But yeah, that's why Wulfric on the Chariot, drive by, fight or die on those Skin Wolves to give them a big damage spike, and also buff up their leadership. Definitely did help in that replay, but yeah, I don't know. I'm still not super sold on Skin Wolves. Maybe the Werekin. The Werekin is a pretty strong character, honestly. Maybe I'll have to start bringing him more often. And the Skin Wolves, who knows? I'll try him out a little bit more and let you know what I find. But certainly in that replay, it worked out pretty well. And I was quite concerned about that build because in previous experience, a build like that has been really hard for Norsca to deal with. So, yeah, we did okay this time. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button, so every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.